Right,
Hello and welcome to the Invictus Racing League. My name is Harry and you join me tonight on Wednesday night live on YouTube 8 PM for the Invictus F3 League. It is round 9 or round 8 because of course we didn't go racing in Spa last week due to problems with a recent PlayStation 4 update, which frankly I'm pleased to announce looks like we're all good and live all ready for the next rounds here at the Hungarian ring, and these guys are all ready to get going. So qualifying starts just very shortly. Aaron Jays in the AlphaTauri leads De Lange by just 2 points in the Drivers' Championship, and but a good little margin between the top two is Reshka trying to keep himself in contention, and so is Keza in the Ferrari, and Wojtek also not too far behind. So there's still plenty left to play for these guys this evening, and I'm covering for Ryan Mac this evening, but the regular in the F3 comms box is of course Mr. Jakob. Good evening, mate. Are you looking forward to this one?
Yeah, good evening, mate. I'm really looking forward to this one because last week Belgium obviously got postponed, so standings are still the same after Canada, and quite a close, as you mentioned, championship battle between Aaron J and De Lange, and down in third we have Reshka, who's actually picked up his form quite a bit in the last 4 races or so. He was quite unlucky in Canada. I believe it was a pit stop or something like that, and he only scored 2 points, but otherwise it's been quite close, and the Ferraris seem to have picked up their pace a bit as well, so looks to be very close, and for this track the qualifying is quite important, and yeah, excited to see who will get on top of the qualifying.
Absolutely, and you pick up a good point there. The Ferraris really getting their act together. 27 points scored in Canada, a massive overhaul on their constructors' rivals of AlphaTauri, Red Bull and McLaren. Ferrari lead that championship as we stand here in effectively round 8 of the Hungarian ring, and they are 10 points clear on 84. AlphaTauri have a little bit of work to do, the team of Aaron Jays and Nick LGT Thompson in the AlphaTauris, and of course the Red Bulls as well, just a further 3 points behind. And lots of guys, well, I'm sure they'll be very pleased to see. It's a nice dry sunny day for at least the qualifying, so these guys I'm sure will be looking to get out there. And in terms of the strategy, Jacob, it looks like it could well be a little bit of a mix, but in terms of qualifying, these guys probably most of them will be starting on the soft tyre, because it is very doable around here to go onto the soft, start the race, and the hards, because they're so durable, you should be able to do most of the race on them if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of different options there, and as you just mentioned, the soft and hards are quite durable, and I've just got the weather forecast as well, and in quali it will be dry for most, and it might pick up some rain at the very end, but for the race it will be dry all throughout, so yeah, the strategies will seem to be quite easy to manage this time round.
Yeah, so a bit interesting there, but a little bit of contention then of rain for these guys to negotiate potentially at the end of qualifying, so it might well be a little bit of a race to get in a solid banker for these 15 drivers this evening. Try and take all the pressure off yourself. You don't really want to be not invalidated and not got a decent lap in by the time the rain clouds form above the circuit, if it does come to that. And it looks like Mr. Steen in the Williams is going to be the first man to set a flying lap. We've got a Haas in the background as well. I think that might be Jeffrey just behind him. We've got a couple of Ferraris going down the pit straight as well. So we've got a couple of guys out on flying laps already, most of them on the soft tyres. You can see Luke Bailey's come out on a set of mediums, Beck 9000 on a set of mediums, and Jeffrey likewise on a set of mediums. But all the rest of the field all starting on those soft tyres, and those who start outside the top 10 might well fancy themselves a set of mediums, because they are a very good race tyre around here, and of course it does just take that little bit of stress out of the hard tyres for the race. It just on the soft tyres, if you're starting a race, you're probably looking to go at least minimum lap 6, so you really are looking to get at least 28 to maybe even 30 laps out onto the hards if you're starting on the soft tyres. If you're going on the mediums, you could well be looking to pit around lap 15ish, so you're sort of taking the toll down to much closer to about 20 laps on the hard tyres, so you should leave yourself much more competitive by the end of the race. So there is a real incentive to qualify outside the top 10 for these guys, even though this is a track which is pretty hard to overtake. But let's see how Mr. Steen does going around the last corner in the Williams. A 14.8 to set his original banker. We've got the Haas of Jeffrey coming across the line. I think we've got a Ferrari as well. Is this Keza? Yes, it is. And he goes up into P1, 14.5. Got a Red Bull just about crossing the line. That might be, no, it's not Craig. It must Delanger. And I think he might have been either starting or just invalidated his first run. But 14.5 from Keza. You said you've been impressed with the Ferraris this season, Jacob, and that's what it seems like, a very good banker, on par by 0.3 of a second as it stands.
Yeah, 0.3 of a second down to Mr. Steen, who's I believe he was a regular in F2 this season, and now he's trying his skills down in F3. So I'm wishing him good luck for the rest of the season. And so far he put in a provisional P2 on his banker lap, 0.3 off of Keza in the Ferrari, as you said there. Keza usually, it's either Keza or his teammate usually starts well at the front, and already provisional P1 with a 14.5. They'll definitely be looked to get a half a second or so, even maybe even more off of that time. So yeah, should be good, and loads of drivers yet to set a time. And with Gareth actually being quite early out, he usually, well, he's in the pits for the first 15 minutes, and then he go for a one-shot wonder at the very end. Usually it's a mix, either it works out or he invalidates his lap or something. But yeah, Gareth definitely likes to start on a hard tyre, so I'm not sure if he'll even go onto the soft at the end there. But yeah, on the lap here in the medium tyres, very careful around sector 2, very tricky, and the lap can be very easy to invalidate, so Gareth being quite careful. And he's on a 54.6 in the two first sectors there. No time to really, that's it, this is first lap, so we can't really see if he's up or down on anyone's times. But yeah, seems to be a decent lap, although he seems to be struggling quite a bit with the rear out of the corners.
And
16.5 there.
So it goes down into P10. There's still plenty of time to find then for the number 2 Mercedes. Of course, not just number 2 in his car, he also came behind his new teammate in Sheepy in Canada. So certainly lots of work to do for Gareth, and he needs to find about 0.8 of a second if he wants to get himself ahead of the Alfa Romeo of Luke Bailey. And still plenty of guys yet to set a lap time. As looks at the bottom, we have the likes of Wojtek on an outlap. Beck 9000 is just starting a lap. Aaron Jays, the championship leader, is in the middle sector, and well, I'm not too sure what it's got on your screen, Jacob. He's in front of my eyes. I can see him on the yellow striped medium tyres, but on my detail it's saying soft tyres. I would assume it's just the medium tyres, and the detail is wrong. But we'll see how he does in this last sector, hugging the inside of the second to last turn. Kind of get a little bit of a squirm on the exit. Looks like Beck's lost it somewhere in the last sector, possibly out of turn 11. I think that might be. What can Aaron Jays do in the AlphaTauri? It goes up to a 15.9, so it goes up into P10, just ahead of Gareth.
Yeah, so the times with the medium tyre looks very close, 0.2 between, well, P7 down to P10, all on the medium tyres. And the medium can take quite some laps before they start to lose grip and traction, so you can't do 1 or 2 attempts around this track. As some tracks it's probably more wise to only do 1, but you can even do 3 if you're brave. But it looks like yeah, two attempts on a hot lap is what the guys are gonna do for tonight.
Was oh god, the 2 Ferraris almost making a real mess of things there on the exit at turn 1. Keza on an outlap, just coming out the pits and just swiping in front of the number 21 Ferrari of Wojtek, who just about got out of the way, but almost taking his front wing off on the back of his teammate, which is would have been a massively red-faced moment for the Scuderia cars. But Wojtek going purple in that first sector, so it's clearly not phased him whatsoever, with a very nice helmet in that cockpit of the number 21 car. So we'll see what he can do as he comes around the middle sector, obviously through the S's of turns 10 and 11, goes a little bit deep maybe, but he keeps it nicely on the track. It's flashed up purple again, so it could be on a good lap here, the Ferrari driver. We'll have to wait and find out. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2, if I might just want to be one of the Alfa Romeos potentially getting out of the way. Of course, round turn 13, nicely onto the power, and of course just that wider entry line to really cut back in on turn 14 to get himself a really nice run to the line at a 14.3. So it's a Ferrari 1-2 as it stands, Jacob.
Yeah, Ferrari 1-2 there, and yeah, I'm not going to commentate too much on that because I know the commentator goes at some point it probably will come into play, and I'm just enjoying them being at the top. And then our newcomer, Mr. Steen, actually just improved on that time by 14 thousandths there, so very close between the provisional P1 and P2 there, but what a lap by Mr. Steen there, 14.3.
Yeah, that's a fantastic lap from the Williams driver, and he's just pipped Wojtek and Keza to the provisional pole. Just over 9 minutes left in the session, so plenty of time for these to go out for these guys to go out and improve their lap times, and we'll see what the Ferrari drivers can do. And Keza really putting his foot down, but it's just run over the curve in turn 9, I think that might have been, and he's invalidated. So it's a bit of a strange corner to invalidate on. I'll be honest, not too many invalidations you usually see around that corner. So he's you know, credit to him for really pushing the track limits, but it's just pushed it a little bit too far on this lap. It looks like Jeffrey might well be on an in lap. I think lots of people just sort of in that midpoint in the session just changing over tyres ever so slightly. Let's have a look at Nick, who is currently sat down in P14, second to last after Beck's early retirement from qualifying, so he will be starting stone dead last, sadly, for the Renault driver. Of course, last season's F3 champion Craig in P8, so he's right in the middle of that pack, and I'm sure he'll be looking to improve a little bit, as it looks like Nick has made the fateful mistake of just clipping that inside curb at turn 5, which in quality fuel, race fuel, it doesn't matter what car you're in or what tyres you're in, if you touch that curb you will be sent rounds. And I think we could be seeing a couple of people might fall victim to that curb, Jacob, because it is so incredibly tough.
Yeah, it's really about risking everything you've got in yeah, kind of a blind one, but yeah, very easy to lose it, and the setup can play a big part in that as well. I found that you can go for a load of downforce and be quick in sector 2 and most of sector 3, but if you go for a little less downforce, you'll have the straight line speed, and you'll be able to overtake, and you'll gain those couple of tenths in the straight and then lose them in the sector 2 and sector 3. So yeah, the drivers are obviously, and the guys obviously having some different setups, as we can see some loads of guys actually struggling with the back end there, but some seems to just, the back end just seems to stick. Maybe they've gone for, as I said, a little less downforce to gain the straight line speed.
Yeah, could well be. Of course, when we know how difficult overtaking really can be around this circuit, so turn 1 really is your best chance, and it's not particularly long straight. You've got to be within about 4 tenths of a second coming out of that last corner to really give yourself a chance with the slipstream and DRS, and of course a little bit of overtake battery down the pit straight to give yourself a real chance into turn 1. Of course, an exit turn 1 into turn 2, we can see some good battles, and we've seen some good battles so far this week here in Invictus from turn 1 to 2. So we'll see how that goes. It's like Aaron Jays is on a very nice lap. Of course, his provisional lap time was set on the medium tyres. He's currently down in P12, so he's got a lot of grounds to make up, but he's going about 8 tenths a second faster in that middle sector, so he's much enjoying these soft tyres. And he comes around the last turn of turn 14 nicely on the power, comes across the line, goes P3, so that's much better and much more like we'd expect from the championship leader. Let's have a look. It's Luke Bailey about to cross the line, and he improves to a 15.5, so it pushes him up just to about 11th place, right behind his main nemesis of last season, Craig. So those two might be close on track once again. Simon Palmer's just starting another flying lap. I think he's gone out on a brand new set of softs, so I ignore the delta there. Looks like I've got a Ferrari, I think, just starting a flying lap perhaps, or was that Keza crossing the line? I think he might be going for another push lap. And Mr. Steen and Wojtek also on that lap. So these guys currently sat provisional pole and second. So these guys locking out the front row and going out on a new set of tyres to try and improve their lap. But you know these guys pretty well, Jacob. You've covered these guys for the best part of this season. Who in your eyes is having a very good qualifying? Is there anyone is a little bit higher up than usual in your eyes? Is there someone who's you think's really on it, really looking dialed in this evening?
Yeah, I mean, at the start I thought Simon was doing a very great job on the medium tires, but as we can see, the delta difference between the soft and medium tires just too much for him to be able to start in the medium tires. But about the front, we have Shapey, who hasn't been. He is quite new. I believe this is his second race, so yeah, he's quite high up at the moment, and I'm hoping that he can stay there and really impress, as he is new. And Mr. Steen, obviously, his first race in F3 this season, so yeah, quite impressive to be a provisional P1 in your first race.
Yeah, and Mr. Steen, I saw quite a bit in F2, as Keza doesn't quite improve his lap time. We'll have a look at who else is going out. Is no, that's Mercedes in the pit lane, so I think it might be Mr. Steen coming around next. But Mr. Steen, he didn't always have the best qualifying pace in F2. He often struggled alongside his Haas teammate or Ferocious Dan. But in the races, he really did put in some very good performances, and there he is. Goes pole position, he extends his lead by another 0.2 of a second, so he's doing very nicely. But what has Wojtek got in comparison is he's going to cross the line of 13.9, so he's found about a nearly 0.4 of a second has the Ferrari driver, and well, that's a great response with just over 3 minutes left to go on the clock. These guys are probably going to struggle. They're going to have to be very quick end laps if they're going to try and get back out there and set one more lap. But as it stands, Wojtek on provisional pole and Mr. Steen P2, and there's quite a big gap between the top two. Aaron Jays has got to find 0.4 of a second if he wants to get himself on that front row.
Yeah, lots of time to be gained by Aaron Jay, but we can't remember he's only had one run on the soft tire, and the other guys have had 2 or 3 runs so far. So he's definitely got a couple of tenths, and yeah, this is the time to prove it, as they are going out of the pit there, getting ready for their last run, and we can see that it might even start to rain, as I mentioned earlier, as the skies have come close and it's gone all dark, so could be starting to rain here in a couple of seconds now. So the guys have really got to get out of the pits and start their lap.
Yeah, you're quite right. You've reminded me about that one. It looked like the rain was about to hold off till the end of qualifying, but actually it's looking like it's going to make one last sweep over the circuit. And yeah, these guys who are at the back, like the likes of the 2 Alfa Romeos, Gareth, and of course Nick, who's on a flying lap as we watch him, these guys are going to have to really get their lap time in soon, because they won't want to do it with rain falling down on the circuit. And of course the track temperature as well going down. It'll be increasingly harder to keep your tyres at a good temperature. Of course the soft tyres should be pretty fine around here. In fact, if you are a little bit too aggressive, you'll find yourself overheating your rear tyres before you even come around the last corner, just as the dynamics of the second sector. And Nick improves his position up into P13, which pumps down Gareth onto the 14th position on the grid. I think Humblestone is just starting a lap. In fact, we've got a Mercedes of Sheepy coming into the pit lane, so he's not going to get another lap. Let's have a look at one of the Hasses. This is Jeffrey coming around second to last corner. He's invalidated on this. Right, does he come into the pit lane? Yes, he does. So he hasn't got enough fuel for one last run. So 14.1 is the best Jeffrey can do. And in fact, that has improved his position up. So he's gone ahead of Aarons, in fact. So he's got a little bit of work to do, as Aarons, who's in the middle sector. So looks like he's just about going to have time for one last run. Keza also is just about going to get one last run. In the pit lane is Wojtek and Mr. Steen. We're going right on board as this Simon Palmer coming around the second to last corner on a flying lap. He's getting the arse out of that Alpha around the second to last corner. He's going to floor the throttle as it comes round turn 14 over the line of 14.5, so improves by nearly 1.2 seconds. So a great result for the Alfa Romeo driver. We've got a couple of drivers coming around the start finish line now, and Humberstone is going to go across the line. It doesn't look like he's gone quicker. De Lange is into P8, and he's given it a day as well. Craig also in P10. It might just be starting up. No, he's backed off. Okay, so we will go and have a look. We've got a Ferrari of Keza just about starting his last lap. He's got a little bit of traffic ahead of him. I'm sure be hoping that they see him and get out of the way before it comes to it. He's got a couple of corners yet, but I've only got 5 or 6 cars out on circuit, so the last 5 seconds will be a little bit of a tense one for those in the garage. Wojtek and Mr. Steen are finished for their qualifying session. They are currently pole and second. They lock out the front row. Mr. Steen on second by 1,000th of a second, and we're going right on board with Aaron Jays, who's actually invalidated his last run, so 14.5 is the maximum he can do. Behind him we have got Simon Palmer, who's on an in-lap. He's not going any faster at all. What about De Lange? He's looks like he's on an in-lap as well, so I think it might well just be Keza. He's got a couple of cars behind him, or I think that might be Craig and maybe Humbo Stone, so we'll keep an eye on there. But Keza's going quicker in this middle sector. He's on a 14.5. He needs to find about 6 tenths of a second if it's to better his teammate, and it looks like, thankfully for him, the rain is just about holding off. It looks like it's going to rain and downpour any second. In fact, I even just saw a couple of splashes there. But it comes around the last corner. Can he get himself on the front row? Not quite. He's on the second row, but he improves to a 14.1. It's super close between those guys. We'll have a look at Humbo Stone, who's come into the pit lane, following Craig into the pit lane. So that is all our cars over and done with for qualifier. It is the Ferrari of Wojtek, the only man into the 1 minute 13s on pole position, and an incredibly close fight for second place. We've got Mr. Steen in the Williams with the P2 position of 14.1. A fantastic lap from him. He betters. He gets that second place just through the skin of his teeth by 1,000th of a second, and we had another 14.1 as well from Keza. But incredibly close between the likes of Mr. Steen, Jeffrey and Keza. Well done to all of them. Aaron J is the best of the rest in 5th with a 14.5. Simon Palmer did a good last lap to get himself inside the top 6. Sheepy is comfortably inside the top 10 with a good lap of 14.8. De Lange will be a little bit disappointed that he's got ground to make up on his championship rival in 8th. Matty, I'm sure, will be pleased with P9. Craig, I'm sure he, well, maybe prefer to be starting just outside that position of 11th so he can have some fresh tyres for the race. Humberstone, Luke Bailey are the next row behind him, and then Nick, Gareth and Beck round out the last 3 positions. But pole position for Wojtek. Jacob, you said that the Ferraris have been very good. You said also that how well they've done in qualifying, and Wojtek definitely has commentated on Wojtek last season, and it's definitely a pole position is definitely what he's got in his locker. And in the end, the only man to get into the 1 minute 13s, and I think a deserved pole.
Yeah, definitely. I believe he had almost 2 tenths down, and then from P2 to P4 it was only a couple of hundreds between them. But the guy I was looking out for was actually Jeffrey Hinney there in P3. He is down in 20th in the standings this season. He's yet to score a point, so really impressive there from Jeffrey. And throughout the season he has really showed that he has got the pace, but the consistency is not quite up the level of the guys of Wojtek and Aaron J and De Lange and so on. That's really what he's got to work on, but other than that, his pace is tremendous, and I'm hoping for him to definitely score good points tonight. As I mentioned, he is yet to score points.
Yeah, yes, definitely not been a great season for the likes of Jeffrey, and they say currently it's at P20, 0 points to his name, and I'm sure he'll be looking to get that put right. And of course he's starting from a very good position this evening, and of course he'll be looking to make his Haas try and even try and move perhaps into turn 1, but of course he just needs to take it easy. He's obviously not in the championship hunt, so he can be a little bit more aggressive, but I'm sure he wants to try and boost himself up the rankings. And of course his teammate Steele, who has not picked up the first race win of the season, and hasn't scored a point since then. So the two Hasses really haven't had a great time for luck here in Invictus in F3, at least not since the first round, so I'm sure I'll be looking to make a little bit of a redemption for that. But we're just waiting on these guys to make their last few setup changes, have a little look at the strategy, particularly those guys outside the top 10. Will they be starting on mediums, will they start on hards, or will they go aggressive starting on soft? Of course, fuel as well. It's not too bad around here. Of course, you can set your engine down to lean settings, so you can save fuel for practically for about turn 4 onwards. You really don't need to be burning all that much fuel, but of course you want to make sure you have enough to defend down the pit straight and of course out of turn 1 and up the hill into turn 4. They're really the only main areas that you'll need to use fuel to defend or of course to attack. And like I said, overtaking is hard around here, so those guys are going to have to make sure that they do use it effectively. And of course battery as well. You'd think because it's not somewhere like Monza, it's not actually that, it's actually very, very difficult to really save battery around here because you're not really on the brakes too hard. There's not too many hard braking zones to really recover some of this energy back, so it's actually pretty hard. They're going to have to be pretty stingy with the battery deployment this evening, these guys, if they want to make it last all the way up to lap 35. And those outside the top 10 of Humberstone, Luke Bailey, Nick, Gareth and Beck, none of them have decided to start on the soft tyres. Humberstone going particularly cautious on the hard tyres, so you expect him to go very deep into this race. Luke Bailey and Nick decided to start on the medium tyres, and Gareth Hall as well going for a set of hard tyres in 14th, and Beck on a set of mediums. But does that surprise you, Jacob, to see no one outside the top 10 starting on soft tyres?
Yeah, but it's kind of mixed bag, to be honest. If they would rather start on the soft tire, yeah, I believe that would be the quicker strategy, maybe for the guys right at the back, so they could maybe make 2, 3, 4 positions up on the opening lap, compared to the likes of Gareth there on the hard tire. But yeah, they're obviously in it for the long run and hoping that no safety car appears. So yeah, a bit surprising, but yeah, the strategy and the long run is really the most important thing. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course these guys just riding in the final corner now, got their tyres up to temperature, and they are looking for the red lights to just appear on their screen. And of course the lights of Wojtek, the 2 Ferraris, Mr. Steen and Jeffrey, they're looking to get their ultimate start for their race. These guys starting on the front 2 rows, and lots of different things to fight for. The 2 Ferraris fighting for constructors, and of course the drivers still. I'm sure they'll be looking to try and get their name in discussion for the Drivers' Championship. Mr. Steen just wants to prove himself in F2, and Jeffrey wants to prove that his 0 points are not at all reflective of his driving ability. But 4, 5 red lights, and it's a Ferrari on the Williams on the front row. There's the lights out for a very long time, and looks like it's been a good start from Mr. Steen, but it looks like the Ferrari of Wojtek is just about going to hold it. Is Keza going to look to the inside? Is it going to be a Ferrari 1-2 into turn 1? Oh, and Mr. Steen just narrowly avoids a massive spin with the Williams, but it is a Ferrari 1-2. Wojtek leads his teammate Keza. Mr. Steen trying to hang it around the outside. In the Williams, we've got the inside of Jeffrey just holding on to position, so it's not been a good start for his debut in F2 for Mr. Steen. He's dropped a couple of positions. Aaron Jays has got ahead of Simon Palmer, and he's stayed there, as Sheepy is staying in 7th position as well, as it looks like Mr. Steen is still trying to get back past that Haas driver. But it looks like, Jacob, it's been a very clean start.
Yeah, very close and nippy in turn 1 and 2, and yeah, Kesa and Wojtek got the better of the rest of them, and Mr. Steen got very unlucky through the first 2 corners there, having to battle a car side by side, so very tricky to get the maximum exit there. And Mr. Steen actually going for the P3 there at Jeffrey Henney, but they go wheel bang, and then he almost spins around and then drops all the way down out of the points already. But what an unfortunate start from Mr. Steen there, who looked to be in the grab for the podium or even a win there.
Yeah, just a little bit of a rash move. You can see he got such a drive out of turn 11 going down the hill into turn 12, but he decided to go for it on lap 1, and he just wasn't given the space by Jeffrey, and Jeffrey might not have even been expecting it. But look at Beck, he started 15th and he's already trying to get a position on the Williams. Oh, and he locks up and he smashes off the end plate on that right hand side. Oh goodness, Mr. Steen has had enough, and Jeffrey spun it out of turn 1. Did you see what happened there, Jacob?
No, I believe he just went on the curb there and then lost it. He was not near anyone in particular, so yeah, very unfortunate there for Jeffrey Henney. And yeah, the consistency is the key. I know he's got the pace, but yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle from him already on lap 2 on the soft tire. He probably will have to make it a 2-stop regardless. But yeah, very uphill battle there, and he's obviously also got to get a new wing. I'm not sure if he got a penalty or not, but yeah, he'll be a lap down by then. So yeah, very unfortunate for Jeffrey Henney, but yeah, I'm sure he will make up for it.
Yeah, of course he needs to get his soft tyres back down to temperature. Spinning at the Hungarian is not good for your tyre temps on the soft tyres. And it's like Gareth has just got past Mr. Steen for 13th position somewhere in the last sector. Of course, Mr. Steen I think actually leaving the session, so that's why he's ghosted. So a bit of an easier move, a bit of a gimme there, a bit of a gift for Gareth, should we say, and it goes up into P13, lucky P13, but looks like it's all gains then for Aaron Jays and Simon Palmer, who have seen the second place man of Mr. Steen and the third place man of Jeffrey, who started on ahead of these two, really ruined their own race. Mr. Steen went forward, a bit of an audacious move on Jeffrey on the first lap, and it sadly backfired, and then he lost his front wing end plate battling with Beck 9000, and Jeffrey, we believe, spinning it on the inside curb at turn 1. So lots of reflection for these guys after the race. Jeffrey's still in the race, he's in the pit lane, he's gone on for a set of medium tyres, so he's probably, as you quite rightly say, Jakob, going on to his 2-stop strategy, probably hoping for a safety car to punch up that gap. He's got 38 seconds to the next car, but Simon Palmer is keeping a championship leader, Aaron Jays, quite nicely in content in range. So we are on lap 3 now, so these guys should have DRS at the end of this at the next lap, so just need to stay within range, 6 tenths of a second, and as I was saying, you need to be probably about 4 or 5 tenths, as there is the DRS for the Alfa Romeo drive, so you need to be within about 4 tenths coming out of that last corner to really have a. What about Delanger getting to the back, or Sheepy, but not quite yet, so it's been good stuff for Sheepy. He's moved up a couple of positions. Delanger likewise moving up a couple of positions. Beck's gone 15th up to 9th on the medium tyre, so he's really making those work out for him. He's all over the back of his fellow Scotsman Craig in the Red Bull. Craig coming under a little bit of pressure despite being on the faster tyre, but of course he did do qualifying on his tyres. And look at the Renault, oh, he's trying to go around the outside of turn 4, that'd be brave. A little bit of wheel banging up the hill, it's gone a little bit wide, and it's just allowed Craig to keep the position for another moment. It's like Delanger almost pushing Sheepy around the middle sector, but so far it looks like it's going very according to plan for the two Ferraris, Jacob.
Yeah, the Ferraris made 1.5 seconds down to their nearest opponent in Aaron J, and then they have got 1.2, 1.3 behind them, so they're just, I believe they're just managing, and we know they are working together, so and talking to each other in a party, so they'll definitely know what's going on. They'll be telling each other about the penalties and the delta down to P3 and P4, and yeah, just managing everything and trying to pull a gap down to the rest of the guys.
Yeah, and looks like Delanger, he's got a nice easy move into turn 1. He's only a couple of tenths behind out of the final corner. He sends it down the inside, and Sheep trying to come back underneath him out to get a nice run into turn 2, but the DRS should keep Delanger safe, but Sheepy very late on the brakes, and they're trying to pick up the power early, but Delanger's got the move done in the Aston Martin Red Bull, and he's got himself just within a couple of positions now of his main championship rival. And look at that, Simon Palmer's really pitting Aaron Jays under a lot of pressure now. The two Ferraris, who of course came first and second in Canada, picked up the maximum 27 points, or well, maximum 28, including fastest lap, but they're looking very nicely put so far for a good evening here at the Hungaroring, but we'll see how these guys do. Sort of 30 odd laps of racing, and Simon Palmer, we know he's very quick, I know from last season, but has he got the patience to really eke this move out and try and get himself up into a podium position this evening? It looks like Aaron's is really struggling with traction out of the second to last corner, and that's why he's going into the pit lane, so it's an early stop then for the championship leader. He's going to be coming in, he's probably going for a set of hards. If he goes on to set of mediums, then expect a 2-stop. We've got another guy, Sheepy in a Mercedes, going into the pit lane. It looks like it's all pretty close downwards from Matty. Got a little bit of a train forming behind him. The likes of Craig, Beck, Cumberstone, Luke Bailey and Nick as well, and Gaff just dropping off a little bit off the back of the AlphaTauri driver, because he's on those hard tyres, which will be feeling absolutely disgusting around this opening first stint with a heavy fuel load. He'll be probably carrying about 36, maybe even 37 laps worth of fuel around here. on the opening stints, so he won't be enjoying those too much, but of course he'll be thinking about the long game and might well be hoping for a safety car after all the cars in front of him pit, so he gets a very cheap pit stop which could catapult him up the order. And of course it could well happen here at the Hungarian. Of course the walls are all so close, and this middle sector as well, when you're burning out your tyres it's very easy to make a mistake, as we've seen as Beck 9000 picks up a 3-second time penalty. It's something we haven't really spoken much too much yet, Jacob, is that the track invalidations around here are incredibly strict, so you have to be so tight, because if you go a millimetre off you will get a warning. And these guys, they're going to have to be on their strictest behaviour, because picking up too many 3-second time penalties will cost them dearly tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Their penalties will definitely cost them, can even cost the victory. But that's been the case pretty much throughout the whole season, with, well, guys at the top usually having 3, 6 or even 9 seconds I've seen without penalties. So yeah, 9 seconds of penalties is definitely very critical, and you'll try to avoid it. 3 seconds is, you'll have to be very, very careful to avoid any penalties around here, but 3 to 6 seconds is probably the usual amount, and any more than that you're really risking losing big time on the points. And yeah, so the guys will definitely have to be careful around certain corners and curbs as well. It is very easy to lose your car out of turn 4 if you just go that little bit too hard on the throttle out on the exit and even the entry there, and also turn 6 and 7 you can very easily invalidate your lap and lose your car on the curbs there. So yeah, very tricky circuit, but that's exactly what makes it so exciting.
Absolutely, and just riding aboard of Beck, he's very much using a lot of this energy, and he's very much down to the bare bones in terms of battery power already. But Craig showing why he's a champion of last season, putting up a real firm defence against clearly a much more confident Renault. But coming out the last corner, he's really going to struggle. Beck thankfully doesn't have much energy, so it's giving Craig a chance. He's not going to go too defensive, he's going to push him a little bit to the inside. Beck thinks better of it, but he's got to be careful because he's got a Williams on his outside. Humberstone trying to hang it around the outside, can't quite. Does this open the door for Luke Bailey? Yes, it has. Can Luke get around the outside of turn 2? He's on those medium tyres, so it should be a little bit quicker. Humberstone locking up that inside wheel. He's going to push Luke Bailey the long way around, but it's a fantastic move from the Alfa Romeo driver, and he gets himself up into P4 now as Beck is still pushing Craig up the hill. And well, Craig's doing a fantastic job of holding these guys behind, Jacob, but you would imagine he's losing quite a lot of time defending, and probably a good idea for him to pit very soon. And I'm sure the likes of Beck and Luke Bailey will definitely appreciate that, because these guys really need to crack on at this point in the race. Meanwhile, Craig's tyres look like they've had it.
Yeah, so, oh no, as I'm just on board with Nicola, losing it on the exit out of turn 11 there. So no, not turn 11, so turn 10. But yeah, so tricky, and yeah, as you mentioned, the train is very close, and Craig is definitely doing everything in his power to keep the guys behind. But this will definitely trigger the likes of Humberstone and Gareth, who's on the hard tyres. But yeah, Gareth is catching them quite a bit now, with a couple of tenths, even a second a lap now, with all the guys fighting so much for position. Yeah, but what a battle we had into turn 2 with 2 cars side by side.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic move from Luke Bailey, very opportunistic from Alfa Romeo driver, hanging around the outside, just trying to make the most of the squabbling pair of the Williams and the Renault of Beck. And looks like Simon Palmer's come into the pit lane, so he's gone pretty long on those soft tyres, but is it going to get him anywhere? He was fighting with Aaron's, and so you have a look, he's now come up behind Zelanger, so it's not worked that overcut. In fact, he's fallen behind Sheepy as well, so it's going to have much better hard tyres than the likes of Aaron J's, and of course Delanger and Sheepy. In fact, Delanger is in fact the same pit at the same time as him, so he's actually lost a position there. So it might have just been a very poor in-lap for Simon Palmer, because he's lost a couple of positions here. We gain quite a few when we see the likes of Beck, Luke, Humberstone and Gareth all come into the pit lane. But interestingly, I just noticed Keza, as after making his first pit stop, has gone, well, I'm going to say this with bated breath. I want to see what you'll get on your screen here, Jacob, because I've noticed I've been having a couple of glitches with it tonight. But on my screen, I've got one Ferrari of Wojtek on a set of medium tyres, and I've got Keza on a set of soft. So either they're both going for a 2-stop strategy, or that's completely wrong. I don't know what you have, mate.
Yeah, on my screen as well, it's soft medium, so yeah, they'll be going for the two stop. They'll be doing soft, and medium, or maybe soft, medium for Wojtek. But yeah, Wojtek actually, they're going for a move there around Gareth there into turn 1, but Gareth's sticking on, fighting side by side there into turn 2, but Wojtek has got the DRS, so easy move there for Wojtek. But yeah, very interesting there from the Ferrari guys, but maybe they believe they have the pace, and they quite rightly should believe that, because they were just going ahead a couple of tenths to the cars behind each lap, so definitely showing some overspeed there compared to the rest of the guys around this track, and them working together will definitely be helping them make this strategy probably successful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very an aggressive call for the two Ferrari drivers, and of course they will have to dispense of this traffic ahead of them, and Wojtek getting the move and the job done on Gareth, and it looks like Keza is about to follow suit. He's gone very wide at the exit turn. Lewis picked up a time, but he's going to look down the inside of the Mercedes. Gareth has just about fended off the attack for now, but it looks like he's going to be a bit of a sitting duck to that Ferrari on soft tyres. You'd imagine if Gareth's doing a one stop, this is effectively fourth position, because both do have one stop left to make, even if Keza has got a massive tyre advantage at this stage. But he's going to use his battery, and he's going to use the DRS, and he's going to have a nice simple move on the Mercedes. Gareth trying to pick up a little bit of slipstream to help him along, but he's lost the position on this occasion, and the two Ferrari drivers will be hoping that it can form some sort of roadblock for the cars behind him, for the likes of the AlphaTauri of Aaron J's. And it looks like Sheepy's going on the defensive to De Lange. Looks like De Lange's got a nice run out of turn 1. It's going to go down the inside of turn 2. Lovely shot from the helicopter. It's going to go wide, and it just locks up a little bit and just hits the inside of that Mercedes, and Sheepy somehow hold on to the position. Simon Barber having a little look, having a great view of this battle, but can't quite make the most of it as we come round turn 4. And Humberstone also giving Luke Bailey quite a lot of pressure and hassle for what would be a provisional P2. But De Lange's looking impatient as Sheepy just hops over the curbs of that chicane, and in the middle sector is just maybe just not enjoying his pace. Maybe just needs to get his tyres a little bit kinder, a little bit kinder on tyre temperatures to just try and ease him, because he's really struggling in this middle sector. A little bit of battery usage for De Lange's going to go down the inside of turn 12. He just about backs out of it in time. Simon Palmer watching with bated breath, just trying to pick his moment. Matty as well is just on this squabbling little trio of cars. That Sheep are getting all out of it, all out of shape on the exit of turn 13's come on the last turn. De Lange really does need to get this move done. I think he'd be able to break the gap quite quickly if he can get the job done on the Mercedes. Sheepy's really not enjoying these hard tyres. Simon Palmer trying to get in the mirrors of the Red Bull as he goes down the inside, and he's just about managed to keep it there. And a little bit of a squirm on the exit of turn 1 for De Lange, and it's Simon Palmer who does make the move stick. He's gone a little bit deep into turn 2, but another optimistic move, this time from the Alfa Romeo Simon Palmer, and Simon moves up into P9, and De Lange, after being so frustrated behind the Mercedes or Sheepy, is now finding himself losing a position.
Yeah, lost the position to Simon Palmer there. What an overtake, and going side by side out of turn 1 there can be very tricky, but Simon managed to make it stick, and yeah, they're just losing time to Aaron J now. Sheepy is 6.5 seconds, I believe, when they got out of the pit. De Lange was only 3 or 4 seconds behind, so he's lost out 2.5 seconds in this traffic. This is definitely not what De Lange is looking for, and definitely not ideal for his championship battle to Aaron J.
No, not at all. And Beck carries on the medium tyres. Luke Bailey comes into the pit lane, so that's released Humberstone, who's giving a real cause for concern. But look who he's got behind him. He's got the two Ferraris of Wojtek and Keza, which will not be a good sight for him. He's going to have to go a little bit defensive. Of course, again, he is sort of racing these guys. These guys both have to make another pit stop. We would imagine there's no way they'll be able to make the tyres last. As what is Simon Palmer is he trying to make a move on the Mercedes. He's going to peel to the outside, he's going to try and come back underneath. He's gone a little bit wide on exit. He's going to use battery, and he thinks better of it. He knows he won't get close enough into turn 2. But that Mercedes is just making a few mistakes, just struggling a little bit. So there is chance here for Simon to try and get past the Mercedes, but he's lost about 7 seconds now to Aaron J's, who's now well up the road thanks to this fantastic squabble that we've had the last few laps. Only lap 13 or 35, so a long way to go in this race for these guys, but they're giving us a good battle for it at least. And Simon's just got to be patient, as I say. He did very well to get past the Red Bull of De Lange, as we come through the S's of 8 and 9, and again the Mercedes just twitching a little bit mid-corner of 9. 10-10 is nicely flat. Turn 11, you've got to be careful not to pick up any time penalties, as we saw Keza picking up a 3-second time penalty on the exit of that corner not too long ago, which will really hamper his chances of a race victory if he doesn't see his teammate, and of course Andres as well picking up one. They've got probably about a 10-second gap between themselves, the two Ferraris and Andres, and the two Ferraris, it looks like Wojtek's going to be pretty close. He's still stuck behind Humberstone, so Humberstone's doing well on those hard tyres. Simon Palmer though, he's going to have a look to the inside of the Mercedes driver, deep onto the brakes. He's got a Mercedes still on his outside, it gets on a throttle, he picks it up nicely, and as we come around into turn 2, he's got the job done, so he's gone up into 7th place. So Simon picking them off one by one. This is much more mature from the driver who we know has got speed but doesn't always use it to best effect.
Yeah, Simon really showing patience this time round, and really is waiting the couple of laps if needed to make the overtake stick, and that's exactly what he's done there in Sheepy, just letting him sit out there turn 1 and then getting him around the inside there, and just now he's got a mega job ahead of him to catch up on Jay, 7.2 seconds behind. So yeah, this will probably be a battle towards the end of the race if Simon and his kind of newer hard tyres will have a little bit more speed towards the end, but yeah, it's going to be very tough to make up that much time in 20 laps. Yeah.
And Wojtek's looking rather impatient behind Humberstone. Humberstone's done a very good job keeping the two Ferraris behind him, but looks like not for much longer. Wojtek sends it down the inside, used plenty of battery to make sure he got the job done, and Humberstone on 14 lap old mediums didn't really have a reply for him, so that's released Wojtek a little bit. He can get further up down the road after Beck, and we noticed Luke Bailey came into the pits not too long ago. He's only 2 tenths behind Craig, so those two once again fighting for the same piece of tarmac. What can Keza do? He's on 6 lap old softs, so his softs probably will be starting to grain at this point, subject to going off, and we could well see him back into the pits in the next couple of laps for his final stop, which he could well go on to. He could either eke out a set of mediums for 20 laps, although they will be crying out desperately by the end of it, or it goes on to a set of hards, and Luke Bailey picking up a 3-second time penalty there in the dirty air of Craig in the Red Bull. But it's a critical phase of the race now then for Wojtek. He needs to get, not just close up to Beck, he needs to really pass Beck. He might even be hoping the runner might well come into the pit lane fairly soon. Lap 15 is where we expected most of these medium runners who started the race to come into. Of course, Humberstone and Keza does come into the pit, so this is a critical race point in the race, and for the Ferrari driver, got a minimum up there on the right hand side. What he wants to avoid is coming behind that massive gaggle of cars, which starts really with Simon Palmer and finishes with his teammate of Luke Bailey down in 12th. Whereabouts he's going to come out? Is he going to come out right in the middle of this train? Of course, he was running seconds, but this 2-stop strategy has gone on to a set of mediums, so plenty of pace, but he's going to have to make plenty of overtaking as well, because he's going to come out in 12th position. He's going to go side by side of Luke Bailey, just about manages to see him coming. Does the Englishman in the Alfa Romeo, just about gives him the space. But Keza now, as he goes a little bit deep into turn 2, he's got fantastic tyres, he's got plenty of pace, we know that, but he's got a lot of overtaking to do if he wants to get back on that podium position.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle from Keza, and his strategy doesn't really look like it's paid off, at least so far. And this is where Wojtek has got to pick up the pace a little bit and get those 1 or 2 seconds more, and make sure he'll get out ahead of this bunch with Simon Palmer leading the train, and yeah, Simon actually catching up to Gareth, who's yet to pit as well on the hard tyre, as well as Humberstone, who's doing a mega job on those hard tyres.
Yeah, and Gareth still sitting pretty in 5th place, still yet to make a pit stop. Simon Palmer short, just closing up a little bit, as Keza's going to have to be patient. You have to try and pick him off one by one. It'd be difficult for him in that Ferrari, because of course he have DRS, but so will Luke Bailey, so likely will Craig. He's just about on that verge, as it looks like we've got a spinner somewhere. Who's that then? Is that going to be? I think that's Nick, who's just had another spin, so it's not been a good night for Nick. He's really struggling to just sort of keep those tyres in the working window, but we're on the ball back with Keza as Luke Bailey sends it down the inside of Craig into turn 1. Does this open the door for Keza? Keza's going to be pushed to the outside, wheel to wheel into turn 2. Craig's going to try and fight it off. He's gone deep into the brakes, just trying to push him a little bit. The Ferrari's got much better tyres, much better grip. Craig going back around the outside of turn 3, gets a position back, picks up a time penalty. Somehow stays ahead of the Ferrari, but Craig once again, Jacob was Keza goes all out shape on the exit at turn 5. Good defending there from Craig, because even though he lost the position to Luke, it looked like for all the world he's going to lose another one to the Ferrari.
Yeah, it looked like it, but Craig was for sure not about to lose that position, and now actually Keza getting a good exit there out of turn 9 and 10. But yeah, he's now got to overtake Craig all over again, as he was so close, and yeah, he dive bombs him down into turn 12. Looks like he's made the move stick, and he has indeed, coming into turn 13. And yeah, as I mentioned before, it's going to be an uphill battle, and he's not even in the points yet, but some cars are still yet to pit, and as Beck actually goes into the pits there, comes out, and yeah, he is going to go out just ahead of this bunch, I believe. We'll be side by side with Simon Poma out of turn 1 there. Simon will definitely not want to get this position up, but looks like he's got to, and Beck going on the outside there. Simon just leaving enough space for him there, but he actually makes the move stick. And Simon looks to be ahead now into turn 4 and 5, but Beck has got the better exit there, and Beck stays ahead.
Good racing from the pair of them side by side through turns 1, 2 and 3. Up the hill into turn 4, it was Beck who just got the job done in a nick of time, and that really releases Beck back after the likes of Gareth and Aaron Jays in particular, because you'd imagine when Wojtek comes in for his pit stop, Aaron Jays will inherit the effective race lead when the likes of Humberstone and Gareth come into the pits rather soon as well. In fact, Humberstone comes into the pit lane right about now, so Wojtek, you'd imagine, might do probably about 3 laps, maybe more, as Keza picks up another 3-second time penalty. So I believe that's 6 seconds then for the second Ferrari. As Craig's retired from the race, as I think it looks like he's lost it on the exit of turn 12, and it's a safety car then. So this is exactly what Gareth wanted. He's gone very deep into this race, onto the set of hard tyres, and who's that? Humberstone is coming out on a set of mediums, so it's worked kind of well for him. He's sort of gained another position. He's going to go out just ahead of Sheepy. So Craig, losing it on exit at turn 12, has brought out the safety car here. Oh goodness me, Talanga almost absolutely going straight in the back of that Mercedes-Benz safety car, just about getting out of the way. This might be a blessing for the likes of, in fact, Humberstone getting a 5-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags. This might be a blessing for Wojtek, who's going to have to make his pit stop anyway, but was likely going to lose the lead of the race from it. This might, is now Sheepy getting 5 seconds for ignoring yellow flags. This might just save Wojtek's bacon here, Jacob, because it looked like, if it is anything like his teammates' two-stop strategy, it might not have worked how he would have expected. But his safety car will just mean that he's able to make this pit stop and possibly retain the lead still.
Yeah, I believe he will. He has got 15 seconds down to Aaron J, and even if Aaron J doesn't pit up, I'm quite unsure, but I believe Wojtek will still go ahead. But what would be a good thing here for Aaron would be to pit, but yeah, he ups a bit as well, and Gareth has got to pit as well for the medium tyres towards the end. So this has definitely worked out for Gareth. Unfortunate for Beck, who was a couple of seconds in the lead at one point with the medium tyres, and he boxed 2 laps or 3 laps ago, not even that maybe. So he's definitely lost out there, and he could maybe be in the lead, but he's P2 for the moment on fresh heart, so he can't really complain too much about that.
No, I can't. And of course he goes up into pit. He started this race down in P15 as Aaron Jays leaves the session. I think that might be just a disconnection, and the good news for him is the safety car, so he will be able to hopefully jump back in before it's over, so he won't lose as much time. But Wojtek maintains his lead then. Beck right behind him on a brand new set of hard tyres. Simon Palmer staying out on 10-lap-old hards. So it's going to be interesting now, because we've got a lot of drivers. Simon, Sheepy and Delaney all staying out on a used set of hard tyres. Matty as well. And a lot of drivers behind them on either a new set of medium tyres for Humberstone, new set of medium tyres for Aaron Jays, Gareth Hall, Mr. Steen and Jeffrey. And of course the likes of in fact, Mr. Steen, of course, has already left the session. That's just his ghosted car going around, so he won't, of course, be classified in the race results. And but it does open the door back up, and Humberstone is looking in a really nice position here, Jacob, because in P6 on a new set of medium tyres, he's got the best tyres around him. He's got 3 cars ahead of him on a used set of hard tyres. You know, he could find himself going up quite a few positions if he gets his overtaking right. If he's got a good car down the straight line, as Aaron Chase does get back into the session, he could go on offensive here, and he could find himself potentially fighting for a podium.
Yeah, this will also for sure, the penalty situation will play a big part in this, as the safety car pretty much resets everything. But yeah, as you mentioned there with Humberstone, who was on the hard tyres and then just pitted there for the medium tyres, so this worked out quite well for him as well. But he needs to make sure to get the heat in those medium tyres and maybe get 1 or 2 overtakes on the first opening lap there, because of all the panic going on and cars going side by side and using all the ERS. This is definitely where Humberstone needs to do quite a few of the overtaking, and then a couple of laps in he'll just have to manage it and maybe try and get an overtake every other lap or so, and then try to push up to Beck. But yeah, the 3 cars ahead of him are on quite old hard tires, but Beck on only 2 laps. If they get a good start, I find it quite hard for Humberstone to catch up, even though he's got tremendous pace.
Yeah, certainly be interesting. And Beck up 13 positions, started down in P15, did a Renault driver, and now finds himself shadowing the Ferrari for the lead. I'm sure he would have taken that at the start of the race for lap 21. And we should hopefully see the safety car come in maybe this lap. It might be another. It usually does try and wait for all cars to form in a line. But now Craig leaving the session again, and of course he just disconnected, so I think that might just be, he's had enough. He doesn't want to see anymore. It's been a frustrating season for Craig, of course, after winning the championship at the end of 2019 at Invictus in F3. His season got off to a very good start in the French Grand Prix, picking up a nice 4th place, but since then points have been really hard to come by. Only 2 more points since then, and one of those was for fastest lap, so it's been a real struggle for the defending champion, and of course the outgoing champion. His crown will likely be going to probably one of 4 men, or including Wojtek if he can hold on to this lead, of course. So it could be going any of 5 ways. Aaron Jace, of course, leading the Drivers' Championship. De Lange is in a good position to perhaps retake the championship lead off Aaron J, so it could well be going to him. Reshka is sadly not here this evening. Keza and Wojtek both in the Ferraris. I'm sure they'll be feeling like they've got a chance at the championship as well, but Keza's got some work to do. He's got 6 seconds to worth of time penalties. Wojtek's in the great position. He's got a brand new set of medium tyres and the first place with about 14 laps to go, and of course safety car hopefully will be in at the end of this lap, and we'll get back under green flags. So it's going to be very interesting for that final podium spot. You'd expect Wojtek to run away into the distance with better tyres than Beck, and probably seemingly better pace as well after claiming the pole position. You'd expect Beck with much better hard tyres than the 3 cars behind him to make second place his own. But what can Humberstone do in 6th position? Can he fight the likes of De Lange, Sheepy and Simon Palmer for that last podium spot? You have to be careful with time penalties, as Jakob pointed out. It's going to be very critical with not too many laps to go. It's a short lap round here. These guys cannot afford to pick up any more, and those who have already picked up some could well be finding themselves to pay a steeper price than they was perhaps expecting. Luke Bailey has done well, give himself up into P7. He made a couple of good moves just before the safety car came out. Matty has gone into 8th as well. He's going to come under a lot of pressure from the cars behind him. Every car behind him on a newer set of mediums. He's on 14 lap old hard, so expect Matty to have a very, very colourful picture in his rear view mirrors, and I'm sure that's where he'll be looking to try and keep hold of his 8th place. Keza will be looking to try and get us up back near the front where he feels he should be regardless of his time penalties. Aaron Jays will be looking to try and recoup some of the points that he's missing out on in the Drivers' Championship to maintain his lead. Gareth just outside the points on the set mediums. He'll be looking to get some points, I'm sure, as it looks like Wojtek has jumped the gun as De Lange has got a 5-second time penalty for severe collision with Humberstone. So that's not a great sign. We saw an F2 last night, in fact, and once again it's happened again. It looks like a spinning Ferrari in the background of turn 14. It's Keza facing the wrong way, so it's Keza, a disastrous start for the Ferrari driver. Got a Ferrari leading the field, and a Ferrari now stone dead last, 6.4 seconds further back. Humberstone is just very close to the back of De Lange. These two, of course, coming under contact and the safety car, and Humberstone already into turn 2 on the medium tyres, going straight around the outside of turn 2, and Matty is going wall to wall. Looks like Aaron Jays has got ahead of Luke Bailey just about into turn 4. But great racing there from Humberstone. I'm not sure what happened to Keza. Did you see Jacob? Because it's a right disaster for him.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened to Keza now. Maybe he's spotted. He's definitely got some front wing damage, almost losing half the wing, missing half the wing there. So maybe he's been in some contact. Otherwise, he's maybe lost it out of the last corner, as it can be tricky if the heat in the tires is not optimal level. So very unfortunate there for Keza, but he was having quite a hard time there making the two-stop work. As on the other hand, his teammate is just running away with it at the moment, almost 1 second clear of Beck already on their opening lap after the safety car there. So critical opening lap there for Wojciech, and Humberstone as well getting the overtake on De Lange, and right behind Sheepy now, who's, as it checks, in the top 5. Sheepy, and Sheepy's got 5 seconds worth of penalties, and Wojciech, no, not Wojciech, sorry, Beck, I believe, has got 3 seconds. So other than that, Wojciech and Simon Pomar clean for the time being. So yeah, interesting that some drivers are yet even to pick up a warning, and other drivers have 3 to 6 seconds worth already.
Yeah, it's very interesting. As Gareth comes into contact with Sword, he's lost his front wing, lost on the exit of turn 3. They just joined the board, he's going side by side through turn 3, and that was just never going to happen. He gets to spins the car back right, facing the right way, and Beck picks up a 3-second time penalty, but Gareth's going to find himself down in a very unlucky 13th position and minus a front wing after looking like he's going to get himself into the top 10 as Sheepy picks up a 3-second time penalty under severe pressure from the Williams of Humberstone, as Humberstone has a look to the inside. He's looking ever so impatient behind that Mercedes driver, but if you notice, he's just got, once he gets this move done, he's only got Simon Palmer in his way of a potential podium this evening here at Invictus, and he's almost pushing that Mercedes around the last corner. He's got a very tight line. The Mercedes taking out wider line to give himself a better run out the last corner, but I think it might be in vain. No DRS just yet, so it might survive him just a little bit. But how much battery is the Williams going to use? Going to go down the inside on the Mercedes. Got much better tyres. He should be much later on the brakes. Mounts the curb, just pushes the Mercedes a little bit wider, and Sheepy is going to rejoin the track, and the Williams has already got the position. So Humberstone back up into 4th, and Aaron Jays as well is making really nice progress. Jacob, he's already back up to 7th, and right behind the man who's 2nd in the championship, De Lange, and he's looking like he could well also potentially get himself up there fighting for a podium if he gets on with it.
Yeah, definitely some nice inroads already from Aaron J and Humberstone, but yeah, as you mentioned, Aaron J being behind De Lange, De Lange will definitely do all possible in his power there to keep Aaron J behind, as they are fighting for the championship, as it looks like them two are running away with it, from P3 being Reshke, who's missing today. So yeah, quite unfortunate for Reshke, but them two battling for the championship as it stands. Yeah, so De Lange, even though he's on old hearts, and this is almost a mission impossible for him to defend against Aaron J there on quite new mediums, he will do everything in his possible to keep him behind, as yeah, it looks like Aaron J will actually go ahead now with the DRS, and De Lange not missing out on the DRS there by Sheepy in front. Yeah, Aaron J getting the DRS, and De Lange there going on the inside, but De Lange sticking around for the outside and not giving any space for Aaron J on the inside. But it looks like Aaron J has got the better traction and grip on the medium tyres, and he's ahead into turn 2.
And ahead into turn 2 goes Humberstone as well in the Williams, so it goes himself up into podium position. It caught very quickly up to the back of Simon Palmer. Of course, Simon on much older hard tyres, and his tyres really are not in the best race condition he could ask for, and he really couldn't quite defend from Humberstone. He put up a good fight, but he's dropped down into P4 sadly for him. And we'll have a look at De Lange as well, who's just lost out to his championship rival Aaron Jays, and of course brother and sister cars are the Red Bull and AlphaTauris, as it's got a couple of drivers running wide there, the likes of De Lange, and I think Matty as well going a little bit wide there at turn 9. I think that might be. So I have to be careful not to pick up any more time penalties. Sheepy's hanging on to the back of Simon Palmer. Simon Palmer just about within DRS range still of Humberstone, so it could help him defend for at least one more lap as Keza retires from the session. So it's been a real bad night then for Keza in the Ferrari after starring in qualifying, having a fantastic first stint. The two-stop strategy just didn't work, and the safety car restart really didn't help his evening, and it's going to be an early bath then for the Ferrari driver as he retires. Only 13 runners left. Gareth's got 45 seconds to make up in about 9 laps in the Mercedes, so he's going to be praying for another late safety car to get his race back on track. The likes of Wojtek in the Ferrari moving about 3.1 seconds clear of Beck, who's another 3.2 seconds clear of Humberstone. Can Humberstone do anything about that? Can he make any inroads in on the Renault driver? Of course, he might also want to try and break out a little bit of a gap to Simon Palmer if he can do it, just to give himself a little bit of a better chance. I think Luke Bailey just got all out of shape there on the exit of the chicanes of 7 and 8. I think losing himself a little bit of time. But no, it's been a very good race so far. Got plenty of action. The top 3 all on pretty good tyres. They look like they might well be checking out. But Aaron Jays, he's probably the man on the move at the moment, isn't he, Jacob? And you would imagine he'd be looking to try and get this move done pretty quickly, and he'd try and extend his championship lead over De Lange.
Yeah, definitely. And both of them having got penalties now, he's definitely going to get this moved on, and into turn 1 already being half a car length ahead, but Sheepy not giving up there on the outside there, but nothing to do against Aaron J on those medium tyres with the traction and grip he's got. So Aaron J up to 5th now, and very interestingly enough, I just had a look at the penalty situation yet again, and it seems to me that Humberstone has got 13 seconds. It looked like he's sped in the pit lane twice, so definitely not ideal for Humberstone. I'm not sure if he's missing a brake pedal in the pit lane or what's going on there, but definitely will be dropping quite a few places, almost even out of the points, I reckon, if they manage to stick around for the cars for the rest of the race. So he's definitely got to pick up the pace a bit if he wants to get anything out of this race.
Yeah, 30 seconds is not going to be anything kind to when that checkered flag falls, as Nick gets a little bit out of shape on turn 11, but he's putting the pressure on De Lange in the Red Bull. So it'll be very interesting to see, can he get that job done on the Red Bull, following what his teammate did not too long ago. And of course Humberstone, he might have got one of those 5 seconds potentially for something under safety car, which we saw. I think it was him and I think it might be De Lange coming into contact on the safety car. One of them might well be for that, which of course we do look into and do potentially remove if any of those penalties have been wrongfully picked up. But Nick just getting it all wrong, trying to come back underneath the Red Bull of De Lange into turn 1. Has just hit the back of that Red Bull driver and is now minus the front wing end plate on that front left hand side. And that car, despite the much better tyres, is now going to be coming probably under a lot of pressure from Matty now, Jacob, because the loss of downforce around this circuit, where there is just relentless corners, is going to be costing him time hand over fist.
Yeah, definitely being on the whole old hard tyres as well. It's not going to look pretty for him out there. Nick actually picks up a 3-second penalty there after his struggle there with De Lange, but a crucial overtake for Nick to get ahead of De Lange, as they are second in the constructors, the AlphaTauri guys, with Nick and Aaron J, and with only Wojtek finishing, although he is finishing on the top step as it looks so far. They've definitely got to make some inroads and pick up a couple of more points if they want to challenge the Ferrari for the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, it's definitely a big night for these championships, and of course the constructors, you quite rightly pointed out. Simon Palmer going to go defensive to the inside line, but it looks like Aaron Jays might just have a straight line speed. They're going to go wheel to wheel into turn 1. Some holding it for all he's got, but it looks like Aaron Jays should just have the drive, but he's low on battery, so it might give Simon a little bit of a chance. But he's got the inside line, the medium tyres. Simon trying to fight it around the outside, but his hard tyres just won't give him the grip that he needs, and it's Aaron Jays who moves up into 4th position, and the AlphaTauri driver getting the job done. And after initially looking like he's lost out, I think he's come from about maybe even outside the points after the safety car restart, and he's picked them off one by one, and of course potential sign of a future champion in waiting here in F2 this season. So very nice very nice conserved drive from R&J this evening, and of course trying to pick up as many points as he can. He knows they'll potentially lose points on Wojtek in the championship, but everyone else he wants to make sure he's picking up points on. And of course we will have to go back to Spa at the end of the season after disconnections with the Sony update. Sadly last week meant we could not run, but he wants to make sure that he has got every single point available to him. And he now moves up into 4th place and already almost breaking the DRS of Simon Palmer. And looks like Luke Bailey is immediately putting the pressure on Nick LJ Thompson as he goes down the inside of turn 1. That front wing really hampering the AlphaTauri driver, and looks like it could be at least a couple of points there for Luke Bailey. He's picked up a couple of time penalties, so it could potentially swing back into the favour of Nick if he can keep it clean for the last 4 or 5 laps in that AlphaTauri. But it's going to be a real hard ask for him now. And what can Luke Bailey do? Can he catch up to the back of Matty, who's been pretty solidly held in that 8th position in that McLaren? But got a little bit of fuel spread now as Simon Palmer picks up a 3-second time penalty, which is a real shame because he looked like he was keeping it clean, and he could even so be on for a good result here, because there is quite a lot of drivers, Humblestone included, that have picked up a lot of penalties tonight. I was going to say Scott there, Jakob.
Yeah, there's some into the penalties. Are quite. They are picking up one after one, and it's going to be a very close battle between Beck and R&J for P2, because I just had a look again, and Beck's got 6 seconds of penalties, and R&J is yet to pick up any penalties. So the delta is saying just below 6 seconds between them. So R&J will definitely have to make these tyres last the last 30 laps against Beck's medium tyres. That will be in pretty good shape at this moment, as they get into shape after quite some laps. And yeah, Beck obviously having a hard time to follow Wojtek on the medium tyres. So yeah, very interesting to see who picks up P2 and P3 at the very end.
Yeah, it's going to go one that goes right down to the checkered flag. Who's accumulated more penalties when it is so closely nipped? And Nick LG Thompson has decided that he's had enough, and of course he's come in for a new set of tyres. And we'll see how that goes. Of course, the likes of Mr. Steen and Jeffrey no longer in the session, as Luke Bailey now chasing down after Matty Steele. And of course he's got 6 lap better tyres, has the Alfa Romeo driver, and the only bit of racing is they've got a bit of a fuel spread now, other than the 2 ghosts, as quite rightly pointed out by Colin there in the comment section, for 10th and 11th. But of course Nick will be classified as 10th. And of course now on those soft tyres is Gareth also going in for a new set of soft tyres. So potentially these guys are trying to have a bit of fun, trying to go for fastest lap, maybe even try and pick up that 1 extra point as well. But looks like Luke coming down the home straight now, not quite close enough within range of that McLaren driver of NYA Matty. And as we come around turn 1 again, it's going to be difficult. Of course the traction on these hard tyres will really be past their best. Matty not too far away from Delange as well. So they could well be in a position of picking up more positions, cutting the checkered flag if they kept it clean in terms of time penalties. I know Luke's got, I think, at least 2 seconds, at least 2 worth of 3 seconds has the Alfa Romeo driver, but he still might be trying to get this one done on track. Anyway, 3 laps to go then, as Wojtek's just going through the last sector now, and those clouds are gathering above, but we don't expect any rain. I think it wouldn't come before the end anyway, as we'll see, can Luke Bailey get within that sort of golden 4-5 tenths coming out of the last corner, which would give him a good run on the McLaren into turn 1. But he's going to have to really go late and deep on the brakes, about 4 tenths a second behind, so he's just locking up that front left a little bit. But as long as he can get the power down, he might well be okay. 4 tenths again. What line does he take? Again, just locking up that front right this time. A little bit too much, but he's about 4 tenths a second behind. So has he got any battery? How slippery is that Alfa Romeo in a straight line? We've seen Luke make some pretty good moves so far this evening. He's going to have a look to the inside of number 14, but he just thinks better of it. Not quite close enough. Trying to get in the mirrors of that McLaren driver. As we come back down the hill into turn 2, as the Alfa Romeo can't quite get close enough again, but he's putting the McLaren under relentless pressure. And I think Matty, I think he's done a good job tonight, Jacob. I think he's been one of the few. He's had a quiet race, I think that's certainly for sure. But if he hasn't picked up too many penalties, he could find himself walking away with quite a nice load of points, I would reckon, tonight.
Yeah, Matty's, I just had a look, he's got 3 selected with penalties, so as it looks now, he'll definitely gain a couple of positions, if not more than that. Yeah, I should say he's had quite a bit of a quiet race at some stages throughout, but yeah, he's managed to make the hard tyres work as well as the Lange and Sheepy and Simon Palmer there as well on very old hard tyres, but they've managed to stay up on quite decent positions, and their point haul is quite decent for most of them. And Simon on in P5 there, as I just had a look, he's actually finished P5 in the previous two rounds, so would make it a three-peat for Simon there in P5. So very interesting fact there, actually. Very unuseful, but interesting at least. And yeah, looks like the field is spread out, but Luke Bailey's still fighting for Matty for that P8 on track, but will definitely at the end move down because of the penalties.
Well, it's the last lap, he still wants to get it done, just locking up. He had a little sniff down the inside of turn 2, but Matty wasn't having any of it, and I think wisely backing out of that one. But on the last lap, and we're going to have a ride on board with our race leader after getting pole position in qualifying. He's absolutely dominated the race. The 2-stop was the route he went down. It looked like, judging by where his teammate Keza came out, it looked like it might have been a wrong decision, which could have cost him very, very dearly. But the safety car came out at a good time, and I don't think there could be any doubting saying he doesn't deserve it. His raw pace has been terrific this evening around the Hungarian. The Ferrari driver exits the last corner, and it's going to be back-to-back wins for Wojtek. Congratulations to the Ferrari driver. Beck goes from P15 to P2. Does penalties hold him back? Humberstone, we know, has got plenty of penalties. Aaron Jays comes across the line and hops up into P3. What about Simon? He picks up a penalty, not too many laps to go. Goes up into P4 though. Sheepy now coming across the line with Delanger not too far behind. Delanger crossing line up into P6. Matty then jumps up to P6 ahead of Delanger. Luke Bailey jumping ahead of Sheepy. So that is your top 9. I think Nick is going to come ahead of the classified of the likes of Mr. Steen and Jeffrey, who we lost earlier in the race. And Nick, we will see come across the line after a little bit of a tiresome evening. I'm sure he'll be looking to go a little bit better in Baku, but he should be classified as the final point. And I think I even saw him flash up with fastest lap right at the end, so he might even get an extra point for his troubles. But we'll see how that one goes. The driver of the day, Beck 9000. I don't think too many people can have complaints about that. Wojtek did a fantastic race, of course, but going from P15 to P2 for the Scotsman and a circuit where it's so hard and difficult to overtake, he really did a perfect strategy, starting on the medium tyres and pitting for set hards. And even though the safety car came out, which of course did help him, he made the most of every single opportunity, and it was really that first stint that really made his race. But a massive congratulations to Wojtek. He wins back-to-back races after winning in Canada. He now wins the Hungaro Ring, and only the second driver to win back-to-back races this season after Aaron Jays, who won in Austria and then won again the following week in Zandvoort. So a massive well done to the Ferrari driver, and I'm sure we'll be looking to see where he could be if he just had no two did not start in Abu Dhabi and Monaco. So I'm sure we'll be thinking about what if. Of course, Humberstone as well. I'm sure we'll be looking back on those penalties, maybe knocking on the steward's door if there's any he can maybe get taken off, which of course you can find all on our socials if there's any changes to the race results. And of course our tables are regularly updated on our website and of course posted on our social media websites. But a massive well done to Wojtek, who wins from pole. Beck second up from 15th. Aaron Chase has a fantastic race to finish on the podium despite an up and down evening. He did a really good job, and I'm sure Simon can take plenty of positives from 4th place. He jumps ahead of Humberstone on penalties. NYA Matty said had a quiet race, but does a fantastic job to go from P9 up into P6, making the most of everyone else's mistakes in terms of track invalidations, and had a very good run in the McLaren, and hasn't been point scoring for Matty. It's been quite consistent, but there hasn't been too many big points finishes. 4th place in Austria was his best result, and this evening was his second best result of the season, so a massive well done to him. And of course there's plenty of other fantastic drives out there through the field. I'm sure Gareth will be looking to try and after bottling it this evening, I'm sure we'll be looking to try and come back a little bit stronger in Baku. I know he loves that circuit, so I'm sure he will. And of course better luck as well to Nick as well. It just seemed like he had just a really tough evening this evening, and I'm sure we'll be looking to go a little bit better on next week as well. But he might well condole himself with a couple of points potentially after we get the classification through. But it came up Beck, driver of the day. Jacob, who was your driver of the day? Because there's some really standout drives out there tonight.
Yeah, it'd have to be Beck as well for me. As you mentioned, there are a load of drivers actually having a pretty good race from where they qualified. Simon Palmer had a quite good race as well, a bit quiet towards the end there on the hard tyres, but he just had the pace, and he obviously jumped Humberstone on the penalties, who otherwise had a great race, but the penalties seemed to ruin his race. Yeah,
really a real shame for him. Could have been certainly a lot better, and he'd be feeling he deserves certainly a lot better. But yeah, you're quite right there to point out Simon Palmer did a very good job. And of course, even towards the end after the safety car, struggling on the old set of hards, trying to hold on, and I think he did a good job there to come home P4. And I think that'll be a very welcome result then for the Alfa Romeo driver. For the Alfa Romeo team, who has kind of sat quite adrift from the likes of Ferrari, AlphaTauri, Red Bull and McLaren, so it'll be a welcome result of points then for the Alfa Romeo team to try and get their championship back on track. But of course we'll see how that goes in the last few rounds. But thank you so much for joining us, and of course if you enjoyed this evening and the Hungarian, well, we've got Azerbaijan next, which is everyone's favourite circuit, isn't it? And of course that is live on YouTube every Wednesday, F3 live on YouTube 8 PM, and of course it's normally brought to you by Ryan and Jacob, and of course I'm sure we'll see Ryan back in the comments box next week. F4 is also live streamed in parallel with us, F1 PC. It's also live on our YouTube channel. If they're still going on, make sure you click on the links, and you can see great racing on those channels as well. And we have released a Performance League tomorrow night, PS4 with Malc and Tim, a full qualifying session I believe on the Hungarian ring, so that will be starting a little bit earlier for those guys. Of course the longer time for the qualifying session to take place, and of course then it'll be reverse grids in 2 weeks time. New car allocations have also been set, which you can find on all our social media channels. And Sunday night is the Xbox F1 League, where we'll be going the first round of Baku in the Xbox F1, streamed live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Invictus Racing League. And Monday night F1 League, PS4, Gareth and Sab will be back in the comments box as they always are on a Monday night, calling all the action. You can find us on Instagram at Invictus Racing League, Twitter at Invictus RL, find us on Facebook where you can find photo albums, interviews, drivers, news and all that good stuff. Check out our brand new website where you can find the standings, and of course if you want to get yourself on the grid for the new season on F1 2020 in well, what would be a couple of months now, probably a couple of months time, that's where you want to go. And of course you send your applications off to us and we try and get you a seat as soon as possible. And of course if you enjoyed and you haven't already, click that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out and the channel to grow over the F1 community, get out there to people who really enjoy league racing and of course motor racing as well. So we're all petrol heads. Thank you so much to Jacob, first time in the comments box together. It's been a real joy, and it's been well done to all the drivers as well. The Hungarian is not an easy circuit at all, and it goes a great race, even though, as you say, it's not an easy one in terms of overtaking. So well done to them all, well done to Wojciech, well done to the podium, and well done to all of them for making it to the end. Of course, my name has been Harry, and we hope you have a very, very good evening, and we hope to see you again very, very soon here at Invictus. Good night.